Hard to believe it's almost September. Nevertheless, we roll on with today's edition of Local 6 Legal Line, entertaining the lovely and talented Emily Roark of Bryant Law Center in Paducah and Louisville. And we want to toss out those of you that you may be wondering what are mass torts. Well, first of all, we're going to find out about those. What exactly are the mass torts?
Good question. So a mass tort is something where there's a lot of cases throughout the nation, and it's a similar case or maybe even the same case or complaint. And so what happens is either the defendant, the company that's been sued, or maybe the plaintiffs, the people that are suing, ask a panel of judges to have all of those before the same judge. And so they're heard in one court by one judge, and it becomes a mass tort or multi-district litigation.
One of those that we've heard a lot about, Emily, is the case against Zantac. Is that still ongoing? And if someone feels like they have a case, what should they do?
Yes, Zantac is still ongoing. It's actually sort of just in the beginning, even though we've been talking about it a lot. So if you have taken Zantac and you have cancer, if you've taken Zantac and you don't have cancer, you do not have a complaint. But if you've taken Zantac and you have cancer, you need to get a hold of an attorney, especially if you took it for 6 months and you've taken it in the last 10 years. Then you need to get a hold of us because you probably have a case.
As I understand it, the cancer-causing agent in that medication is ranitidine.
Good job, yes.
Yeah, well, we have a question that says, now, if I only took the generic form of this, do I still have a case?
Yes, you do. And so initially, there was a lot of information floating out there that you had to take the non-generic, but that has changed. At this point in the MDL, in the mass district litigation, we are suing all the generic manufacturers. So if you took the generic, if you took Zantac itself, or if you took a combination of both, then you have a lawsuit.
Well, Mary says that my dad took Zantac on a regular basis, died of stomach cancer in 2018. Now, as the executrix of his estate, can I file a suit on his behalf?
Absolutely, you can. You know, there's a statute of limitations. The statute of limitations is different in every state. So you need to get a hold of somebody, and you need to do that quickly. But you absolutely, and you are the person that can file. You're the only one, so you need to do that.
Have a little bit less than a minute left in this segment. What other mass torts might there be at this point that someone might become a part of?
Sure. So other mass torts that are out there are the 3M. We've talked about that. So if you are a member of the armed forces or any armed forces, and you have had earplugs that were made by 3M, and you have hearing loss, either hearing loss or tinnitus, then get a hold of us. That is something that we're working on. Other things would be any kind of mesh that you have used and you have complications from that. That is another one that is out there. There's different ones. Roundup has already settled. We're still getting a lot of calls about that, but that is that was a really good case. If you've taken anything, any kind of pharmaceutical products, or used any kind of drug that you believe that has caused you any kind of harm, and you've heard that there's a mass tort out there, get a hold of us. We're happy to talk to you. We're happy to see if there is a mass district litigation. Sometimes there may just be 2 or 3 cases out there, but it turns into a mass district litigation. Or maybe even a class action, which is a little different, but we're happy to talk to you.
Emily Roark of the Bryant Law Center in Paducah and Louisville, our guest today on this edition of Local 6 Legal Line. We'll have another section of Legal Line coming up on the other side of the break, and we'll visit with Mark Bryant and take your questions regarding car wrecks and personal injury. That's next on WPSD Local 6 Midday.